Good Filipino morning to everybody. Derek with Q Adventures here. Brought along I with me. Yesterday we were just driving around in the evening, driving around this neighborhood over here in Cebu. I'm not even quite sure. What neighborhood is this, honey?
This is parts of June, Cebu City.
Cebu City?
Yes.
Okay, so Cebu City is so big, I just don't know.
This is a Jones.
Jones? Okay, and then we're just across the street over here from this St. Teresa College or school. And yesterday, you know, like, we weren't planning on making any content or anything like that. We're just driving around, you know, like just for some serene moment, meditative moment. And then we came across a homeless New Yorker from the USA. And we didn't have our equipment, and we're just like, you know, artists without a paintbrush. You know, we got caught with our pants down, so we didn't turn on the camera. So today we set an appointment for this man. He's inside the 7-Eleven right now. I asked him to pick up a few things, essential food and stuff like that. And we're gonna pay for it, but you know, after he's done with that, we're gonna go to his campsite and hopefully listen to his story. Thank you, sir.
Do you want this aside?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all good, bro. Yeah, it's all good. And we'll get some more food later, okay? Yeah, after we talk, we'll get some more food. Before we, you know, after we're done, I'll make sure to get you some, you know, like non-perishables and stuff like that. Yeah, so you have some stock, you know what I'm saying?
You can let me that. I would appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Clothes and stuff like that, yeah. Toothbrush, obviously.
Okay, we'll make a list of everything you need. We'll get it for you today, okay?
I don't need you to give me everything. You know, I'm not going to take advantage of you that way.
I can't hear you.
I'm not going to take advantage of your kindness that way. You actually give me everything, but, you know, let me some money. Like I said, obviously,
All right, we'll see what we can do, okay?
You getting my story out to the public
I will.
in a fair way. I know, I believe that is a big enough favor.
Okay.
Maybe it's your job, I consider it.
Okay, we'll do that.
But it'd be better if I say it like this.
It's okay. I just gotta, however you feel comfortable, man.
You're trying to get perspective with it.
Well, I just want to put the camera closer so I can hear you, so it can capture your voice. Yeah. So
So here's the basic thing. I mean, how much you want?
well, let's start from the very beginning,
Beginning of what?
Jean-Claude. So your name is Jean-Claude. You're from New York, yeah?
My name is Jean-Claude Parker from New York. Yes.
Okay. Whereabouts in New York?
I'm from Manhattan.
From Manhattan.
Yeah.
And then what brought you to the Philippines?
My main reason coming here was vacation. I hadn't taken a vacation in quite some time, and I like traveling, so it's one of my hobbies. I guess you could call it a hobby in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I studied archaeology and anthropology, that was my major in college, so it kind of crosses over with traveling. So I kind of consider a hobby and whatever. But yeah, it was traveling, and I also had on my mind certain options that I'm getting older for. I have a small business of, you know, retirement options, and the dollar being strong over here, obviously. Me being from the U.S. I wanted to, you know, to see if I even enjoy the type of life over here that, you know, Asian people tend to have certain family values that are a little bit more serious in some ways than, or traditional than Americans, than the average American do, and vice versa, depending upon what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
But I am more traditionally family oriented than the average American, but not extremely so. And so, especially in New York, which is very liberal, but in certain ways. So I've always kind of liked, when I know of the Asian people, American Asians, and how they live, I always kind of like that kind of feel to it. So I thought maybe being single too, being out here, you never know, I might meet somebody, or it might seem like the right place to maybe retire to one day or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'll at least get an idea of the prices and stuff like that, and if my kind of business would even be good to grow out here, have my kind of career, you know, because I spent a lot of time building it up while I was on vacation. But my main purpose was vacation.
Okay. And then how long have you been in the Philippines?
I've been in the Philippines a while, for a few years. But I came with the Asia. I was here in Asia prior to being in the Philippines, and I in one other place, one other region of Asia.
Okay.
In one other country. And I'll just say quickly that that I came with a 2.5-year visa as a temporary resident because
In the Philippines?
yeah, because it was I had originally decided I want to see at least 4 parts of Asia. You know, I have that much time. You know, and I'll come back now and then because my job, my occupation, I work from online. So as long as I have my laptop, even if I decide to freaking do a little something in Asia, if I check with the powers that be there and can do it legally, I could always who knows how long I'll stay out there, and I go back for family holidays with my primary family in America. You know, like to go back for Christmas because my family, you know, I see my mom and my sister, who are the only primary family I've left in the New York area, and then spend whatever time, you know, with them, and then maybe jet back out or whatever, because I can always work online, even on a plane, and even before I get here, even if I don't have papers here till I enter Asia.
Yeah.
You know, so that was my general plan, and you know, and unfortunately during the course of that, before I could get leave to see my mother during Christmas, I didn't lose it.
Now let me interject with a quick question before I forget. You mentioned that you obtained a 2.5-year visa to stay in the Philippines. What kind of visa is that?
It's a tourist visa.
It's a tourist visa?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like you renew it every 6 months.
No, you don't have to renew it for 2.5 years.
2.5 years at a time?
Yeah, even longer with the visa, yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
The passport is for 2.5 years, but I mean, I think the visa is too. I think it's both call the same thing, because what they did was, when the World Trade came down, see, the American passport used to be separate from the visa, meaning the visa was on a paper-like substance, which they stapled into your passport book. Whatever the medical, whatever the doctor put on it when you get your check, for whatever shots you needed to travel. Once the World Trade came down, the last time it did, they changed the law. They changed the way they made American visas, and maybe some other countries too, in the sense that the American visa is no longer a separate piece of paperwork.
Okay.
It's actually just the American passport, and they just use one page, and the visa person stamps a separate seal on that page that's going to be the visa page, and they sign it and then stamp that they're the visa person who was able to confirm that this is true, the doctor said this is true, the doctor said that.
Yeah. So would it be fair to say that you've been here in the Philippines before the World Trade Center incident?
No, I've never been in Asia ever before coming to not before the World Trade. I've never been in Asia before the World Trade ever.
Okay, so you came here, you know, what would be your estimate, like 5 years, 6 years? How long have you been in the Philippines?
I've been in Asia, almost 20 years stuck here.
Okay, how about Philippines specifically? Like this trip over here.
I've been here, there's only been one trip.
What's that?
There's only been one trip over here.
Okay.
I mean, to
do you remember what year? Was it 2020?
Let's put it like this. I went to Cambodia. I stayed there about give or take 6 to 8 months. Maybe a year at the most. Because what I did was I got 2.5-year visa for there too. And I got 2.5-year visa for here.
Yeah.
Because it was roughly the same amount.
So when was the last time you entered the Philippines?
But well, I don't like to give out that kind of information. But I what I did was I freaking went and I left after being here about 3 years, give or take. It's when I went to go back. Christmas was coming up. I was going to go back to see my mother. And I wanted to step out quickly to Thailand and then come back, because I had met a woman who we had started a long-term relationship. Things were going well. We were living in the Cebuano style way, meaning that
indigenous.
No,
No?
well, it was in Toledo, but which is the main suburb, but but meaning that a lot of even Latin people, a lot of times, the family style, oftentimes, the adults start taking care of their parents, including their housing needs, at an earlier age than they would, even if they live more as a unit, an extended unit, meaning sometimes the grandkids are there. Sometimes, even if it's, especially because sometimes they don't have the kind of economic, economic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's cheaper clearly to pack a family into one house if you don't have as much money. But at the same time, it's also more that has grown into a type of nurturing cultural type of thing where you'll often see grandparents living with Spanish people, or grandma and their mothers, or freaking does that, and it's more acceptable, and a norm to your society than it would be in America.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is, it ended up being me, the woman I'm talking about. She had a daughter, but her daughter was going into her second year of college when I met when we started trying to live together, see how that would go. And her brother ended up losing his job, and him being a guy, and me being a guy, I needed to, I wanted to have a guy male, but so obviously I met him, we got along, and he wasn't married at the time, so when he lost his job, I let him stay there. And I said, and then her mother came to visit us, and she had a problem because she lived in Davao, but the government was about to take her farmland and house. They were trying to, what they call eminent domain her, meaning that they were building, they were clearly using the fact that commercial farming was coming up there to offer her more and more money in her house and to raise prices on her, or to make it more difficult for her to resist. Because the more people that were selling around her, the harder it was for her to keep her business going, because now the whole commercial farm, which is a smaller commercial farm around the bigger ones, she's not getting as much business, and she's older anyway, and her husband's gone. So I said, well, you want to stay here, I have no problem with it, and I was enjoying living like that. I've never lived to that extent with that amount of people, even in my own family, or even freaking with roommates. So it was very comfortable. I didn't have any problem with it. In fact, I found it kind of nice. To the extent that my father's dead and gone. I mean, I only have just immediate family, my sister. Even when I was staying there before I became an adult and started living but my sister, my mother, and myself left. So to me, it was like getting back a piece of my family. It was almost like, it was nice. It was a nice feeling. So, and we all got along very well, and whatever. So then I started thinking, I started preparing, well, okay, I'm this comfortable with it. Me and her started talking about getting engaged. We've been together 3 years at that point, almost 3 years. I said, well, let me go to Thailand. It's almost been 3 years. I said, we'll get unofficially engaged. But I want to make sure, and I think it's only fair to you, that we make sure before we start discussing definite marriage. Because I don't care, because what I was going to do is we had to discuss at least that we'll try to get dual residency, so that way, because my job is because she wouldn't have, my economic means was such that even in that situation, I was taking the whole house and I didn't care. As long as people were paying for the food. The house was big enough that we had our own bedroom. Her daughter had her own bedroom. Her sister was ended up going in that area and sharing a bedroom with his daughter. And and it was fine. They were gone most of the day anyway. And being with my occupation, dealing with finances and the stock market and type of things like that in America, the hours difference being 12 hours, I basically was working at night anyway. So for me during the daytime, I keep up with the news and stuff like that affects the economy, but the daytime for me was basically, I sleep a little extra later. I spend time with her, and and she takes her daughter in out, to make sure she's set up for school, whatever she does. Spends out with her family. Her family does whatever they do. Her brother goes out looking for a job basically, and the only one that ever was in the house really during the daytime that often, for the amount of time that she was her mom,
Yeah. So what while you're traveling Asia, you know, how do you
I wasn't. Well, I wasn't trying. I mean, me and her on weekends we would go to. I mean, I mostly, you know, I spend a lot of time in my occupation keeping up with the news and studying and stuff like that. It's a very, I have to be kind of really like there, and you know, I was spending a good portion of my day anyway. I kind of, you know, I don't spend.
So I guess my question is, you know, while you're away from home, which is Manhattan, New York, yeah, how do you economically support yourself? Is it from business income, like some kind of retirement income? Or?
No, well, basically what I was doing was I just prior to coming, moved my family back. My mother back to New York because she was paying a mortgage on a house. It was a huge house, which was great in a way because she was getting space, but at the same time, she was still working and she was getting ready to retire, but my father had already retired due to sickness. In fact, they worked for DSW, and my mama was he got sickness and early Alzheimer's stuff, and he got, because of the city job, he just retired earlier. He took a better package earlier, and he was already home. You know what I'm saying? But he's 10 years older than my mom anyway.
Yeah.
So
how do you support yourself when? How do you have access to money when you're in Thailand and Philippines?
Well, what I'm saying is, the money that I was going to use that I had already made in my business, that I would normally have been using for rental in New York, because they moved their house was in New Jersey where they were staying at, because they were gearing towards retirement, and they decided that the house was good for their retirement.
Yeah.
But they would still keep open-minded. If I found something in Asia or whatever, I wanted to tell them, you know, because mortgage, you can always go out and get it. But until my mother actually literally retired, and my sister, who's younger than me, 20 years younger than me, literally decided to, whether she was gonna keep the apartment that she had, that she was sharing with my uncle actually at the time, or do whatever, they would basically, you know, just do it that way. Jersey is closer to New York than my mother had, you know. Mm-hmm. She was in a high enough position that she had certain type of parking privileges because she worked directly for the mayor and stuff like that. So for her to get up a little early and go to the legal time, it's 20, 30 minutes by things because the headquarters was DSW, mm-hmm. It's in the World Trade at that time. And so what I'm saying is, an apartment on average when I left in the neighborhood where they were living, which is the same neighborhood I grew up in, was I would prefer to live in when I got an apartment. Yeah. After I moved back to Jersey, we moved to our old neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure she was set up and comfortable with whatever place she picked to live in.
Yeah. And
that my sister, who already was back in Manhattan and had left the house in Jersey, because my uncle died and she ended up just taking over the apartment. But that was the decision that came in between. So, and my dad being gone, my mother just decided, hey, it's a big house, you know, people do get robbed. I mean, you know, it's a lawnmower, it's not a cheap house, but it was cool.
And this is the U.S. you're talking about, not the Philippines.
Yeah, New Jersey's in the United States. Yeah.
Right. And then...
But what I'm saying is, I wanted to make sure that my problem was to get my mother back and make sure that she was comfortable before I went ahead and started thinking about me. Uh-huh. You know, for me to spend a couple of days helping move some stuff, and I had stuff there anyway, moving my stuff out and getting my dad's stuff with the funeral and everything that there was a lot going on, you understand?
Okay.
And so, I said, let me take care of her. And I wasn't even planning on necessarily coming to Asia yet. I was slowly saving up to one day come to Asia. Uh-huh. I hadn't made a decision to travel yet.
Yeah.
You understand, at that point.
So while you're in Asia, how are you supporting yourself? From savings back home?
No, well, that's my point.
Yeah.
It's from saving. It was originally from savings, from profits. If you mean savings, I mean, say company money that was...
Yeah, never mind.
In my company, okay. But it was money that I would have been using for an apartment. But what I did was, I said, you know what I'll do? I'll go to Asia now, before I get an apartment. So the average apartment in my neighborhood is costing now almost $2,000 a goddamn month. So $2,000 in Asia a month, even if I'm going for 2 years, instead of a hotel, I might even be able to, I don't know yet because I'm not there, but at 50 pesos a dollar, I'm figuring, you know, but then I don't know how much replacements house really costs. I mean, I do from the internet, but they change it.
Yeah.
But I don't watch it every day about Asia. But I was getting it up over years of wanting to come to Asia, looking here and there, and of course I was looking at all the scams and all that stuff. I came here, with a general idea that, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? Instead, I'll stay in a hotel, but if I start liking any particular out of the 3 Asian countries I want to visit to extend it, and it seems more affordable, economical, as long as I get rent with the option to get out, I'll go ahead and just rent a bigger place because it gives me more solid and more privacy. If I do meet someone I like and we get serious, or we don't, but either way, it gives me, it's clearly a smarter move economically, and it's a better position to be in, and it also will give me an idea that if I ever do get involved in staying here permanently, what it would be like to actually live in a house out here or a permanent residence, even if it ends up being temporary or anywhere in Asia. And so that's what I did. And so I was using my rental money, what I usually would spend in an apartment, for whatever needs I had here.
Yeah. How long have you been homeless here in the Philippines?
I've been homeless on and off ever since people have been jacking up prices on me for making a damn phone call.
Would you say 6 months, a year, 2 years?
I've been homeless on and off, depending. I haven't been homeless on any straight period of time.
Okay. And
I have, but that's because the situation got worse and worse after people put my face all over the internet and social media and tied to me being a pedophile. Just as the other, they technically changed videos on me. They pasted my face to criminals' bodies, all kinds of stuff.
Who's doing that?
I don't know if the specific person's doing it, because if I did, I would freaking go to law, go through the legal means, and have that person freaking arrested for freaking, or investigated for freaking, for harassment, all kinds of things. I've been attacked, all kinds of things. But clearly, it's either one person who started it and get rid of it, but then it just spread, or it's one person. But there's clearly some people in it who are definitely showing a pattern that the information that they're giving is the same type of information. And that pattern has mentioned certain names that people have suggested are connected with someone's name in my past that may or may not have had criminal connections, but either way, he never told me and I never got to know him that well. Uh-huh. And it was somebody who changed my life, actually making a comment to me, which ended up me not getting involved in criminal activities, where I could have gone down a bad road, for whatever reason. He liked me enough and I liked and respected him enough, or that's the way it still appears to me, that he said something to me that I chose to go back to my old lifestyle and get my same lifestyle and try harder to keep myself off the streets with drugs or partying too hard, get more serious, get back to getting more serious about being an adult. And because I started slipping for a while, but I was already over age. I was already 28 when it happened, and I got caught a small cocaine habit. And it was rumored that he had connections in cocaine and things like that. But I never straight out asked him, and he never. I roundabout way, of course.
Uh-huh.
We joke, he was aware of the fact that his family or whatever had that type of reputation, or people felt that way about him. But he was also respected in the community enough that the cops didn't harass him. Mm-hmm. He came and got his way. If I saw the guy, if I spent time with him 5 times,
uh-huh.
and it was a 1.5 year period or 2 years period at the most, those 5 times, even when what happened was I was engaged and I was going to get married, uh-huh. and I wanted to approach her parents and me still being and I wanted not to approach her parents. I wanted my bride to be happy.
Yeah.
And at that time, she was Irish, and traditional Irish weddings can be quite expensive when you rent churches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If it's a single guy and you're just paying off your student loans, and you're and you're just out of college and your first thing, and you try not to be on your parents' back, they have so much, and and you obviously, if you got to be too much on your parents' back, you shouldn't be getting married anyway, because you can't afford to have a wife.
Yeah.
But she still hadn't made it official. But I was starting to save up because she basically was about to make a decision. We were about to make a decision. Are we going to stay together? How far are we going to take it? Which obviously would be at least as far as it is. And then when are we going to get married? Because she was clearly a marriage-minded person and a single man person. Like I was a single woman person. There was no doubt there was love between us.
Okay.
So, and our parents were aware of that, hers and mine.
Are you willing or able to talk about how you got yourself into this situation where you're homeless?
I didn't get myself in this situation.
Okay.
That's my point. I got myself in a situation by trying to follow the rules and got caught off guard by the fact that by the time I realized that everything, that certain information was about me, which wasn't true, or even stuff that was true, that should be kept more private and may appear to other people. You know, a person could take a video of someone saying, I was involved in cocaine when I was young, and people can read that wrong if they just see that clip of it and don't see the rest of the sentence.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And that could be on purpose by the person,
Yeah.
or they could just happen to walk away at that time and put it up there. But you asking me to take a video and me being aware of the fact that you're doing so is different from me being in a hotel room and people coming in there who I think are just sitting there and they're using their cell phones and or whatever, or even if I'm aware that they're taking video, I'm thinking we're kidding around or whatever, and me making a hassle of that is going to cost me lawyers. It's going to cost me, you know, especially if it's a civic type of case, and me being a foreigner, it's going to. They got to find the person again. They got to tell them that, and I'm probably, you know, I'm not even sure that I'm going to stay here.
Okay.
So I let a lot of that go.
Understood, and I respect that.
And I never looked it up anyway because I said, you know, well, that's life. You know, you're somewhere, okay, people can judge me to do what they want. That's all right.
Yeah.
You know, but clearly I wasn't aware of what kind of videos it were and how bad it went until one day I was sitting in an internet cafe and someone said they were going to call the police on me, and the guy next to me on the sitting room, he said, "You don't know him?"
Okay.
Because they said something about you fucking pedophile. But part of it was in but I understand. So from having lived with my girlfriend, you know, we're broken up at that time.
Yeah.
I understood because it didn't work out. I understood. I was slowly learning things. So I understood certain bad words. You know, and I understood the implications, but it was clearly, obviously, a direct, and they meant it. And they went to walk up to the person who ran the internet cafe. He was looking at them like, and I'm saying, it was obvious by the body, they're going, is that right? I'm going, like, I'm just another tourist here, you know what I mean? Like, what's up?
Yeah.
And the guy next door to me goes, you don't know? I said, what? He said, aren't you Jesse Parker? I said, you mean J.C. Parker? He said, yeah. I said, that happens to be my name, why? They said, you're all over Facebook. I said, what do you mean I'm all over Facebook? I don't have a Facebook. They said, you don't have an account? They said, look, you don't believe me? They let me see it, because they were sitting at the keyboard next to me, typed it in, and they went to the site, and there wasn't a video doing something, starting to do something in privacy with someone or something like that, and then doing something that I never did. And as soon as I thought, oh shit, and I think off because and I went outside and I stood there freaking for the cops to come. I waited a few minutes, and when they came, it happened to be an ambulance going by.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, and then I quit, and then everybody was like, and then freaking I'm like, what the hell, you know, because it was such a exaggerated. Yeah, I was like, it's like I killed him, you know. I didn't even see, you know, but that wasn't one video, you know. But even if it happened, that's one video. I'm not thinking like even like the implications of how many videos are already on there. That started maybe 3 or 4 years earlier. Because I didn't know how long, because I already been here 3 or 4 years. You understand? But this was, I think it was even further into me being here. I think it was maybe when I was 6 to 7 years here. You know, because but so by the time I found that out. And by the time, even I still didn't, I let it go, whatever, for a while, because that was one thing. Months went by in between, little incidents happening here and there, where people were looking at me weird, or, you know, I go in a place, they have a price on something, I go to buy it, the guy at the counter would look at me like, and then, okay, but you know, sometimes people have that attitude toward foreigners because they have a certain, because foreigners act stupid in the country, there's certain things happen or whatever, and they have a right that's not illegal for somebody to look at me and not like me, or, you know, but to the extent, it hadn't crossed the extent yet where clearly I would say that if we were in New York and somebody did that, I would hurt, you know, I would have to protect myself or go to the law and call the cops, because I don't like to get people, you know, or feel that I was that threatened or that vulnerable, but at the same time, my lung doctor told me, because I had emphysema, even before I left, that I should. And knowing I was going to be gone that long, obviously I set up for, just in case, a regular doctor. So I asked my doctor when I was leaving, because I already had lung surgery on one side of my lungs for emphysema. But I just, which is which is a permanent, with a non-curable lung disease. But I had mid-stage emphysema. I just found that out, a few months before coming here. So before coming to Asia, at that time, maybe 6 to 8 months before that. So, and I just gotten out of the hospital. So I really had found that out a year and a half plus 6 and 8 months because the operation kept me in intensive care for a year and a half. So, you literally can't leave the hospital. It's a serious operation. I almost died. Both my lungs gave way and filled up with blood. But and I felt fine. I had no idea that I was sick. I was just working out one day, and I hadn't done my back in a long time because I work out at home. I couldn't afford a gym. And I figured I was trying to save money, build a business. You got to put your money, And I was working out. I was doing using my chair, whatever, that type of thing from home on my computer. But during lunch, I eat my little lunch, and I was cooking for myself, and then, I was doing the lat thing.
Yeah.
I put it on and that's one. It's been a long time since I even have worked out for that period of time, but I was on a roll. I've been healthy for I was 6 years into working out 5 to 6 days a week. Because for working from home, I just had the time. It was something to do that I enjoyed doing, and I finally had the time to do it to that extent. And working alone and having the space to do it, and having a few free weights, I made do what I could. And before I knew it, 6.5 years had passed.
Yeah.
And so I'm not thinking and I hadn't smoked cigarettes at all for 2.5 of them. I didn't even quit smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And then for 2 years before the cigarettes, I did vape. That's when vape came out, and that helped me quit smoking.
Yeah.
So, and then for a total of 6 years total, two before that, was when I started even saying, I'm working out to that extent. I'm going to make it official, at least 5 days a week. I'm going to take weight gain. I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to swim, because I love to swim anyway. And since I'm not smoking cigarettes as well, and since I had a problem with that, and why even bother drinking? I don't need to drink, if it doesn't come out. But it wasn't something conscious where I said, I gotta quit smoking, stop drinking because I'm an alcoholic, blah, blah, blah. I was already, it was just something that happened, and I didn't think about it, it grew, and now and then I go to my old AA because just for the social meeting of it, because AA is an organization that helped me at the time when I was in college, and my powder cocaine habit got out of, and I went to rehab 2 or 3 times in my life and struggled with it for quite a few years, and it got very bad when crack came out. But it was a big struggle for me to get off of it. But once I did, and once I got other interests and my health back, and involved in other things, that inspired me to stay on a path. But I wouldn't probably got even. It was in between before that happened. The deciding factor not the deciding factor, but something that inspired me to really get it out of my system and not smoke crack was something that that gentleman said to me.
Yeah.
And it's been suggested by people here that because he was Asian or Latino, and then because he had a similar name and maybe even a similar last name to somebody here,
Yeah.
that it was the same person. It wasn't the same person because if I look at you and I look at me, we both have certain skin.
Yeah.
We might be related if I shave my head, but at the same time, we're clearly different people. And he didn't have the same name.
Yeah.
But I only knew his nickname. I don't think his real name was local. Most people, kids, what in Spanish means crazy.
Yeah.
But then again, he didn't know my real name either. As far as I was concerned, or maybe he did just because my mother happened to have taught his son that because when I met them, they clearly knew because he was a good 10 years older than me, and my parents were crazy about me hanging out with him because of the reputation he had.
Yeah.
But because I was a young adult, but still, I was still in their house.
Yeah.
I was just transitioning from their house to getting my first job, or my last year of school, ending my final exams, going out in the world, getting my first job, whatever it may be, and then saving up for an apartment. You understand? So.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but I was hoping to ask you questions pertaining to the Philippines. Like your current situation and what kind of solution you would like to get from it.
Basically, my main problem in the Philippines right now is that because a lot of people saw those videos and took them at face value, or had their own interpretations of them, for better or for worse. Certain people have been a problem for me even through government channels, because they have suggested that or made borderline comments where I should maybe that bribe certain people to get done what I need to get done and give them money that I don't owe them, and that is not part of the process of me getting my legal paperwork because my ID was stolen to get out of here.
Yeah.
I went as a U.S. citizen to the U.S. consulate and being paid the full price for my passport and visa to be replaced, which was stolen. They used them as an address because at that time I was on the streets and I was waiting for my next money to come regarding me, and I didn't have a phone to communicate with the other side to say, hey, send it early if you can, or whatever the case may be. And the people who had asked to use their phones if they could earlier hadn't responded, and nobody here owes me shit.
Yeah.
You know, I can't say, how dare you, give me your phone, I'm going to use it. I mean,
Yeah.
Even if somebody here I knew said that, I couldn't say that. It's not my legal right to take the phone out of their hands and try to get physical with them over it. So I just had to bear what I had to bear. But 2 weeks is to it. But I worked for GSW in my life. I've had hard times in life. Just had that times where, where I freaking, I've helped homeless people from DSW. I've worked with the Peace Corps. I'm not scared to stay out in a little bit wild environment or handle a hard situation as an adult. Or know what to do. But the thing was, because the communication was cut, my point is that ever since that whole thing, when that whole thing happened with that made it very difficult, and apparently someone is definitely influencing or continue to try to influence it and keep it out there that I'm a criminal who shouldn't be trusted and don't deserve the same type of rights that the average tourist has here, like to have a phone that's not take the SIM out when he's not looking and put in our own number so we can get the phone. And people are constantly joking around with me about the fact that I'm a criminal and I'm this person named Jesse and da. But they don't realize too that the same people too have even gone the people who have to use their phones or spread news that not only are they keeping me down here and that this person, because I was involved with him, that it's actually him who's doing it because I owed him money for cocaine, which is bullshit. Okay?
Here in the Philippines?
It's bullshit, period.
Okay.
And freaking that him and I were enemies and I screwed his wife or that I did something to him or blah, 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 blah. And all this stuff kicked off mainly around that topic, the worst part of it, and also about the topic of my Marine Corps.
Well, there you have it, folks. I was trying to get a story from this man. And the matter of fact, when I met with him the night previous, he reached out for help, and through a brief conversation, I indicated to him that in order for me to help or assess the situation, I would like to turn on the camera and figure out the extent of the assistance that he's requesting for. So at least if I am not able to do it by myself, the internet or my viewers might want to contribute just like they did with the Welshman Ken that I have assisted going home. But unfortunately, with this gentleman, Jean-Claude, the story was all over the place, and it started in Manhattan and then into New Jersey, Thailand, everywhere except for the Philippines, which is where he physically is right now, and the country that he's trying to leave to go back to New York. I tried multiple ways, multiple times. I tried to be nice, I tried to be patient, and I tried being forward and insistent. But nothing about the Philippines was discussed, and also to his situation, his current situation, how he got here, it's just that was never brought to light. It was about the cocaine problem, and it was about pedophilia, and it was about pretty much everything else except for what is going on here. But with everything that was said, and also his name being Jesse instead of Jean-Claude as he indicated to begin with, there are just too many red flags for me. And towards the end, he was just advancing towards me, and I, who was right in back of me. I felt really uncomfortable, especially with his saliva, getting too close, and when he speak, he's spitting all over the place. So I just got really uncomfortable, and he was just not answering any of my questions, and I was not going anywhere. And of course, if I don't understand the situation, I am not going to jump the gun and try to play the superhero part. That is just not me. And this man just really went out of his way, despite agreeing on the evening previous. He went out of his way to not tell the story, and he mentioned zero things about the Philippines. So I just couldn't carry on and continue to be nice and patient. I lost my patience. So take the story as it is, but it is a very serious story about mental illness. This man is obviously mentally ill. I don't have any background or experience with mental illness or mental health in general. But even after I backed away and turned off the camera, he was ranting for, with a monologue for about 30 minutes. And all the street vendors and the bystanders, even the churchgoers, were just drawing attention to him, which I feel very bad. But given the circumstances, I don't know what else I can do, and there's really nothing else I can do. But thank you for tuning into my channel and listening to the story, and your ever support on my channel. Until next time, y'all have a good one. Please like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell, please.